After coaching hundreds of people just like you for over a decade, I've learned one thing. Most people overcomplicate fat loss and staying lean. If you're tired of endless diets and complicated plans, I'm about to show you my stupid simple approach to staying lean all year in 2025. There are 7 main steps to make this happen. Number 1, nutrition. Arguably the most important step of all. We're going to use a flexible food approach that's about 80-20. Now what that simply means is we're going to aim for 80% of our foods that we're actually eating to come through nutrient dense foods. Think all your healthy shit, lean meats, fruits, veggies, all that kind of stuff. And then the other 20% is just literally whatever you want. We're going to use that for the type of foods we eat, and then we're simply going to focus on calories and protein. Now this makes it sustainable year round because we'll hit our nutrient needs in that 80% and then we'll stay sane and actually enjoy the whole process and our diet as a whole with the other 20%. And the reason why we're focusing on calories and protein combined with the 80-20 and not really worrying about the carbs and fats is because to stay lean year round, we want to keep it as simple as possible. And those are the main key things you need. Calories, because that determines your body weight and if you're gaining weight, staying the same or losing weight, and then protein determines how you'll look within that weight. So if you're going to stay muscly or if you're going to lose muscle. For example, my current dinner is steak, sweet potato, spud-like potato, and a bunch of salads. Now that would be the 80%, and then I put some Peronaise sauce and some low-fat cheese on top, which would probably be the 20% because it's highly processed. But it makes the meal taste 10 times better, so I look forward to eating it every single night. Because if I just had steak with potatoes, no sauces, no cheese, nothing like that, it wouldn't be as enjoyable, and I'd probably get bored of it quite fast. And then for dessert, got a big bowl of strawberries, which is the health, the 80%, and then I've got some ice cream or some protein yogurt to go with that, and that would probably be the 20%. I keep doing this because 80%, 20%, everything is on a scale. There's no, this food's good, this food's bad. This food's not processed, this food's processed, because everything will be processed to some degree unless you live on a farm and you go and catch everything and kill everything and eat it yourself. Eat it yourself, kill it, catch it yourself, and eat it. Without me rambling for hours on what foods to eat, here's a list of foods that will fit well within that 80%. So we now know what type of foods we're eating. As you can see, nothing restrictive, nothing crazy, nothing that you can't do all year round. Now we need our calories and protein target. By far the simplest way to get your starting calories is to plug your details into a TDEE calculator and start from there. We have a free one, I'll pop it in the description, or you can just Google TDEE calculator, and this one is pretty good too. For our protein amount, we simply want anywhere from 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kg of our body weight. So anywhere in that range and we're absolutely golden. Carbs and fats we're not really worrying about, they'll just slot in there as they do depending on what food you pick. As long as you're close or at those calories and protein, you're good to go. Now you might be thinking, Alex, what the fuck? Tracking calories, tracking protein, weighing your foods, that doesn't really seem simple. Well, this is where the sticky note approach comes into play. We want to stay lean year round, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. Now you can set your own buffer. I personally recommend about 1 to 3 kg from your lean ideal weight. The reason I like that is because everyone's going to be different, and your ideal leanness might be different to mine, might be different to the next person. So find that weight that you feel very comfortable and confident at, and you're like, if I could stay like this year round, I'd be fucking over the moon. That weight right there, about a 1 to 3 kg buffer, maybe a little bit less if you're a lighter female, you'll be sweet. And the sticky note approach to tracking progress is so simple. You'll just be monitoring your weekly average weight. So all you gotta do is jump on the scales each morning or just 3 times a week. That will give you a good weekly average, and then you can just make sure that you stay within that 1 to 3 kg buffer, depending on what's going on with your life at that time. So if you're traveling, you got a lot of social events on, life's busy, your boss is doing your head in, you're stressed, you can still stay within that. If you start creeping up, then you can just simply pull back down. Plus, studies have shown that regular weight monitoring leads to higher success and accountability. So it's one of those really simple things you can do that literally takes 5 seconds in the morning, and it will make a huge difference. To get to that ideal body weight and leanness, if you're not quite there just yet, that's totally fine. To get there, the best way is to weigh your foods, track your calories, track your protein, or follow a meal plan, or a combination of both. So we're only gonna do this for the first few months or less, and then you'll simply be able to eyeball and gauge your foods based on what you've learned. Which leads me to number 2, training. Weights, cardio, sports. Honestly, they all work and they all help to keep you lean year round. The key is simply doing what you enjoy for the amount you can commit to on a weekly basis for the entire year. Now, of course, some parts of the year, you might want to ramp that up and train more, and other parts of the year, like I was talking about before, if you're super busy, if you're stressed, if you're traveling, you can pull that training down a bit. The key is just to make sure you're consistently training on a weekly basis and you don't go through phases where you train like a nutcase for a month and then you just stop, because we see this happen more often than we would like. And it is by far one of the biggest killers of not only getting to the goal, but mainly staying at the goal. I would always highly recommend weight training be somewhere in your routine, as it's been shown tons of times for numerous health benefits and longevity. Plus, who doesn't want to be more jacked? And the good news is, as little as 2 times per week in the gym, you can actually make some crazy progress just with that. The sticky note approach is as simple as 1 to 2 exercises per muscle per week, and you'll make some killer gains. And if you're like me and you just love training, then that's even better. You'll never have an issue with this anyway. Again, instead of me rambling for hours, here's a list of workout splits you can try and a list of exercises that you can slot into those workout splits. There are tons more, but screenshot this to get you started. Lastly, cardio and sports are a massive bonus, and if you're already doing them, then don't stop. But if you hate them and you just love weight training and you're already doing that, you can still make the same gains. You can still stay lean all year round without the cardio and sports, as long as you are hitting the weight training and doing everything else we're going through. But keep in mind that cardio is also good for your heart, which is kind of important, I guess. And if you're doing zero training, you want to stay lean year round, then I would just start with something. Like honestly, even push-ups in your home a couple times a week is literally better than nothing. Number 3, steps. A daily step target is definitely not essential to stay lean year round, but in my experience, it helps a ton. If you do already have a watch that tracks your steps, I would highly recommend checking your app, looking at your daily and your weekly average step count, and then from there, simply just try up it by like 1,000 steps. And every 10 minutes of walking equals about 1,000 steps. So to do this, it could literally be as simple as just jumping on the treadmill for 10 minutes before your workout, or just waking up in the morning, 10 minutes early, going for a stroll around the block, and you're good. You've just increased your weekly average steps by 1,000, and that is all gonna help you to stay lean year round. And if you don't have a watch, it's all good. I would just use simple tactics like always parking further away, always taking the stairs instead of the elevator, and if you take phone calls for work or anything like that, simply just like walking, if you're allowed to, just walking around while you're on the phone instead of just sitting down taking that phone call. I know those things sound stupidly simple, and they are, but they do make a big difference in staying lean year round. Number 4, sleep. Poor sleep quality has also been shown multiple times to increase your hunger, increase your cravings, and that means lowering adherence to your plan. Basically, it means it's a lot harder to stick to your plan if you've got shitty sleep. AKA, it's harder not to slam a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's when you're sleep deprived and you just need to take a nap. The simplest things to improve sleep without much effort are: number 1, aim for 7 to 8 hours. Set a bedtime alarm so you get reminded to start switching off and get to bed. Number 2, cold and dark. Aim to keep your room cool and as dark as possible, or just get a night mask. And number 3, no caffeine after lunchtime. This one can be harder for some people, but in my experience, the best habit to build. Caffeine has a long half-life. Basically, all that means is it stays in your system for quite some time. So simply just having that lunchtime cutoff or thereabouts will help keep the caffeine as far away as when you go to bed as possible. That's not only gonna help you fall asleep faster, it's gonna help your sleep quality overall. You'll be able to get into that deep REM sleep, which is ideal. Number 5, routine. I personally believe the hardest time to stay lean is when your routine is all over the place. I personally find that the more consistent each day looks, the easier it's gonna be to stay lean. You get less hunger, you get less cravings, you get less dips in energy, which usually makes you wanna grab some more caffeine or food to keep you going throughout the day, more sugar cravings and stuff like that. And that of course just makes it easier not to pack on the pounds. Now, the biggest mistake that I personally used to make, and this is probably one of the biggest issues, I'm gonna put that in hyphens, that we have with clients, is their weekends. And my weekend used to look like this too. If your weekends look polar opposite to your weekdays, and I know this is the opposite of what everyone wants to hear, but it's the truth. If they look the polar opposite of your weekdays, it's gonna be so much harder for you to stay lean all the time. For example, if you never train on the weekend and you eat out all weekend, you drink on the weekends and not in the week, you sleep in on weekends but not in the week, this is gonna throw your routine out of whack, and it'll make every Monday feel like you're starting from square one and chasing your tail the entire year. Now, Alex, don't be a twat. I'm not saying you can't have fun and stay lean year round. You 100% can. You just need to be smart about it, which leads us to number 6, holidays and social eating. Now, the good news is you don't have to be perfect, just consistent. One off meal or even weekend won't ruin months and months of consistency. We need to think big picture here. Instead of stressing over every bite during social events or vacations, focus on making mostly good choices while still enjoying the experience. And hey, sometimes it is memories over macros, but if you travel all the time or you go on quite frequent holidays and social events, you can't think like that, or there's no chance that you're gonna stay lean all the time. But a social event here and there or a few holidays a year, I would simply plan ahead but stay flexible at the same time. For example, if you're going out for dinner, you can hopefully look at the menu ahead of time, or if you can't, you can still make a smart choice when you get there. You don't always have to go for the most calorie dense thing on the menu while still having fun. So for example, you could get a steak and chips, ask for sauce and butter on the side, and then instead of adding a 380 calorie cocktail on the side, pair it with a 0 sugar drink that's 0 calories. Little things like that I've noticed along the decade I've been doing this, not only with myself, with clients, with other people that I'm friends with in the fitness industry that stay lean and look good year round. These are the habits that they have. And yeah, of course, like I said, every now and then, you're just gonna eat whatever the fuck you want. That's totally fine, enjoy yourself, but you can't do that every week, every second week, all the time. And the annoying thing is genetics do play a role in this, but they're not actually in one of these steps because you can't change that and you shouldn't try to. But I want to point it out that you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, because I have friends that are genetic freaks. They can pretty much eat whatever they want. They've never been fat in their entire life and they always have abs. But if I ate like them or took that process in my mind when I go traveling, social events, family dinners, etc., I would be a fat slob. And then next, after you have enjoyed some social events, a holiday, friend's wedding, bucks do, whatever it is, just get straight back on track ASAP, as in like the next meal or the next day. Because the key to staying lean long-term, year-round, is how quickly you get back into your normal routine and eating habits after a social event. Number 7, supplements. Creatine monohydrate. Done, let's move on. Nah, for real. You don't need any supplements at all to stay lean year-round, but if you are serious about your training, and if you want to stay lean all the time, I would highly recommend just taking creatine monohydrate 5 grams a day every single day, because it's low-hanging fruit, it's cheap, you can get it any supplement store, and it will help your training performance quite a bit. And then I personally also use and recommend a good whey protein, because I personally classify this more of a food rather than a supplement, but it just helps hitting your protein target a lot easier. There's nothing magical about it. You don't need to have it. You don't need to have a post-workout shake on top of your normal calories. You just can use it if you want. I just put it in my oats, makes them taste better, makes hitting your protein target easier. Bonus steps, mini cuts. A mini cut is just a short and sharp fat loss phase, usually about 2 to 6 weeks max. I would use these throughout the year when needed, just to help keep your body fat in check. So if you do start creeping up to that 3 kg buffer that we spoke about earlier, or going over, this is where you could just bring in a mini cut, or if you did go on holiday and you just had way too much fun, that's totally fine as well. When you come back, you might have to just run a bit of a mini cut, which means you're gonna go into that calorie deficit, pull some of that body fat back off to your ideal lean point that you love living around, and then you're good to go. You can increase calories and back to life as normal. I do this maybe once or twice a year, absolute tops. If you follow all the other points, you won't really need to do it more than that. To do it, I would just recommend taking about 20 to 30% off of your normal calories, run that for 2 to 6 weeks, the body fat will come straight off, and you're good to go. Now, consistency over perfection is 100% the key here. Staying lean year round is a mindset, it's a lifestyle, and it's daily habits. The better your routine and habits become, the easier this will be to stay consistent year round, and then you'll be lean forever, not just for 2025. Now, if you've absolutely nailed your diet and you're stoked with how lean you are, or you're just about there and you're thinking, I want to start to slowly increase my calories up without gaining any body fat, then I'd recommend watching this video here.